The first thing you should know about my friend Mrs. Filholm is that she's part of an underground group of gardeners and homeowners dedicated to the eradication of disruptive pests, especially squirrels. They trap them, they shoot them, they leave poison food for them in the park. It's total war, and they're taking no prisoners. The squirrels must go. The next thing you should know is that Mrs. Filholm and her secret society aren't the only group with squirrels top of mind. Under normal circumstances, this kind of behavior might seem unusual or alarming, but it seems that a lot of the self-quarantining homebound have turned their attention toward the squirrels. Just this week, I spent 22 minutes watching a video about squirrels. Who would have thought?
The first thing you should know about my friend Andrew is that he loves a party. He's great at socializing and making merry, and he works hard enough on the regular to enjoy letting loose once in a while. He even enjoys planning a party. I have personally discussed the details of party planning with him over the years, and he's down for it. He'll talk crowd flow and catering and table decorations with the best of them. And he shows up with enough sparkling conversation and goodwill to ensure a great event. The next thing you should know about Andrew is that he's in the middle of planning the biggest party of his life. I mean, Delaney is. And it might not even happen. Things being how they are, the state of the party is tenuous. Despite all the details they have attended and decisions they have made, Andrew and Delaney don't really know what their wedding will look like come September. And also, they know it doesn't much matter. The party matters so much less than the occasion to celebrate, which is their lifelong commitment to one another. It's going to be a party every day.
Welcome to Half My Age, a weekly show in which a 25-year-old adult and a 50-year-old child help each other make sense of the world. All right, I'm just going to warn you, Mrs. Filholm, we don't need that kind of negativity surrounding the wedding. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
The negativity at all. It's the opposite of negativity.
We just need to put those good vibes out in the world that say this wedding is going to happen as planned on the date we've chosen.
Okay, exactly as planned. Well, okay. Do you see how deeper my point is more important? That you actually know it couldn't matter less? I mean, that's lovely, Andrew. A lot of people would be freaked out because their day is being ruined. I'm sure it's not all fun and games thinking about it. But I know for a fact that you and Delaney are going to go, yeah, whatever. We'll make up for it in other ways. We'll have a party someday. You know that's not the point. And I swear to God, it seems like the point to some young people. So proud of you.
You got it 100% right. One, in that it's not, I mean, the party is secondary. But two, You also got it right in that Delaney has been on top of this thing from the very beginning. And I have been...
Oh, I know.
You mentioned that I'm interested in talking about crowd flow and table decorations and that sort of thing. And I have not been particularly good about talking about crowd flow or table decorations in terms of this wedding. I have not been a super helpful co-planner.
Does she want you to talk about it?
I'm not sure. I think she would appreciate. She appreciates support for sure. If she makes a decision, she wants to be supported, and I think I'm doing pretty good at that. In terms of level of involvement, I think she might want me to be a little bit more involved, but not too involved. I think there's a bright line upon there's a line that you do not cross, and I think I'm not as close to the line as I should be. But I don't think it's. Okay. I don't think.
But I just can't imagine that you don't. It is true. In fact, I was thinking about this in the shower, which I did do. So my voice might be a tiny bit better, but it still feels pretty rough. I did do my shower vocal warm up today. I think that, believe it or not, I was thinking back to this probably while I was in the midst of planning Augie's graduation party, 2016. Because I was talking about things like crowd flow and table decorations, there was some funny little detail there where I was enjoying and you were playing along, like about crowd flow. Like, if I let him in this door to get the food, it's going to create a bottleneck. And that's the problem. That conversation led you to say to me, I remember exactly where I was. We were talking on the phone and you said, there's a podcast I've been listening to, new to me, that kind of goes into details like that. And do you know what that podcast was? Roderick on the line.
They were.
Is that
That's funny.
something? Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Because now I would never describe it like that. But also, I can see why you thought that at the time. If I was worrying about if I should put the plasticware in the napkin and fold it versus have it in a thing, I can totally hear John and Merlin talking about that for half an hour.
That's definitely a show. You can't say that that's not something they would talk about.
Correct. But it certainly isn't how you would. But I was thinking about that today. I know exactly where I was driving, and you recommended this to me, which is weird. That's how seminal, I guess, that podcast became in our lives. How bizarre is that? I remember exactly where I was. And the first episode I listened to was called O.G. Howley. And you said, I thought you'd like that. And then I remember saying to you, like, it was the first long form, I guess, like that podcast I had ever listened to. And I remember saying, Andrew, they don't get to their topic until whatever. And I mean, yeah, there's really no topic. I didn't get it. And I mean, I was like completely hooked right away. Isn't that funny?
Well, our longtime listeners should know that there's nothing I appreciate more than a show about nothing.
I mean, time wasters unite, you know? Sure. This show, I mean, really, I've been watching in a more conscious way because with the person who has never watched it before, Parks and Rec from beginning to end. Now, we know that I always have it running in the background, and I'll just, like, open Netflix or whatever and go, oh, yeah, that season, whatever. I don't care. I love it all. You know, it's in the background. There's one episode that I don't actually prefer and will skip over. Sometimes I will skip over certain episodes because they give me the feels, and I don't want that. But other than that, I love it all, and I kind of know it all. But I have not watched it in sequence for so long that it's funny because it'll be like, wait, that happened in season 2, huh? No kidding. Anyway, that's just been kind of an interesting thing, looking at something I know very well with kind of more, like just more purposely going through it. It's interesting.
I think it's interesting. I like Parks and Rec an awful lot, but I haven't, I don't have that same feeling about it, that same warm fuzzy that Seinfeld gives me or that MASH gives me. It's not in my shows I return to often.
Yeah. Weird, huh? Yeah, that's funny because you know it well and we reference it an awful lot.
I don't know it nearly as well as you do.
No, you don't, but you get it. I mean, that you can pull it, and we do a lot.
Yeah.
And it may just be this few. It doesn't matter.
Maybe I just haven't seen it enough. Maybe that's my love of Seinfeld and my love of MASH is purely based on familiarity, and maybe I haven't seen it enough times to love it that much.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, for real, it's like a familiar, like it's a comfy sweater I put on. Faux show. Anyway, dumb topic. How are you, Mr. Bridges?
I'm doing good. Do I sound okay? Yeah. I've been messing with some knobs on my microphone.
You've been clippy to me. You've been in and out, a little bit of missing words, but I don't know if that's real or not.
Yeah, I think our connection today might not be as good as it usually is. But fortunately, you're recording your end and I'm recording my end, so that won't make it in.
So I will hear not what I'm hearing in my ears. I will hear what's recording into your computer.
Correct.
And you will hear what's recording into my computer?
Correct.
Boy, that audio hijack. Cute. Good job, audio hijack. Okay.
You asked me how things were going, and I don't... Yeah. I guess I do have an update. So yesterday was Wednesday, May 27th, which shall be forever remembered as the day the restaurants reopened. And it seems like things... maybe they're not getting back to normal. But Delaney's at work today. Yesterday, we went and picked up a pizza, and there was a couple sitting out on the patio, which was so strange and so foreign after months of not being able to sit on a patio.
Huh.
So I mean, there's this kind of stuff going on in the background. My life is still pretty much the same. Still doing everything I've always been doing. No big developments in the wedding. No big familial developments. I told you last week that I had some tenants move into the house. That seems to be going well. Actually, they pulled a pair of nail clippers out of the bathroom sink drain that must have been there since like before we bought the house because they were rusty to the point that, I mean, it looked like they came out of a shipwreck.
The tenants did?
The tenants pulled them out of the drain.
What caused them to do that?
I suppose it wasn't draining.
But I mean, isn't that fascinating?
Right. So they are the kind of tenants who will take care of minor issues like that, which is
Okay.
a great sign. At
Great
least
sign.
yeah. So I feel pretty good there.
How do you know about it? Did they tell you because like it was a fascinating piece of information, or did they tell you like, you sick jerk, you rented us a house with this down the drain?
No. So when we rented it, I told them this is my first time, and I have two primary concerns. One is getting paid, and the other is that we don't let maintenance issues go unchecked, so they become larger maintenance issues. So
Sure.
they pulled this thing out of the drain, and they texted me a picture of it, mostly to say, "Hey, just FYI, here's something that was going on that we took care of."
Oh my
And
God.
I think they're trying to build some credit.
Okay,
and
good.
as far as I'm concerned, that's a great way to build credit with me.
Surely is. You keep doing that kind of stuff, but then also don't go crazy. Don't go installing stuff that you don't tell me about. Interesting. Well, I'm glad they seem like good tenants so far.
Yeah.
I literally didn't know that yesterday was restaurant open up day.
Well, it's very weird. Like I said, there was one couple out on the patio. It's not like there was a massive 1849 style gold rush kind of thing. It's everyone's still kind of hesitant, kind of nervous, I think.
Oh, I know.
As a lot of people predicted.
Oh, and we're still wrestling with that, the comics, and I've talked about it a million times right here on this program. I don't know what to do about it. And also what's happening is bad. I don't.
The George Floyd stuff.
Yep, I don't. Yep, Siri. Okay. Also, now I'm recording that. Siri is recording what I'm just saying and about to send it to a text to a friend. And what I just said was all I know. Oh, and it's still, we're still wrestling with that. So okay. I got to learn to finish my sentences. I've been saying that, but now I have proof. Siri just recorded that. Yeah, I don't actually want to talk about it, but I did have an 18-year-old child of God say to me yesterday, how can you people, you adults, keep telling us it's all going to be okay? And as you may know, that weighs on my heart because I consider that kind of my life's work is to know what's going on with the young people and care about them. And that was just an interesting perspective.
That's unfair. You shouldn't be expected to shoulder the blame for an entire generation and all the generations before you.
I'm not. She didn't mean it personally at me. She meant it globally, and she's not wrong. She's it's her graduating year, 2020 graduate of high school, just going, how can you adults? How can you guys keep telling us it's going to be okay? Here's the other thing. There's something I kept saying what?
This is an unpopular opinion, but it is going to be okay. Things have always sucked. I mean, things have been a lot worse than they are today.
That's where I keep coming back to her is exactly right. Yep, I know it's gonna be okay in different ways than you understand. And you know what? You and I having this conversation, she and I having this conversation, that doesn't make it okay. Right now, in this moment, little girl, we have each other. And I mean it. And that, that's an 18-year-old friend of mine. She is as much solace to me as I am to her. Yeah, I know it's gonna be okay. But I also get their generation is funny. I mean, it's funny, the okay boomer thing. So this is the babies. She's 18.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that she and I are a part of a different generation, being
I think so,
8 years apart?
I think so. Because one of the biggest things, these other guys, these are all comics, who are 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, these guys, so a little bit older than you, but about the same, they think that it's different because they remember discovering the internet, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they remember going, oh my God, they're comics. So they remember going, oh my God, there's porn. Oh, and what was the site they were talking about? Rotten.com? Is that a thing? And I was asking them, they remember because they're sick comics. They remember finding things like you could look at big inflated testicles and a woman killing herself in the bathtub and et cetera, like hideous. I know.
I think they got a different internet than I did.
See, this is also the thing. They are sick comics, like I said, so they maybe are going to go there. What's that noise? Okay, I just heard some fuzz. Anyway, so they remember discovering that versus the 18-year-old who thinks it's an appendage. She doesn't remember not staring at a screen.
Right, sure.
Does that make sense? Is that different?
It does make sense. And I remember, when I was a kid, dial-up was still a thing. It was
interesting.
It was being phased up when I was, I don't know, probably phased out when I was 6 or 7. And you couldn't have someone in the other room talking on the phone if you were on the computer. And now nobody talks on the phone without also being on the computer.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Okay. So that they think is a difference. And then, I mean, I was talking about my generation, Gen X. We have that. We are famously the first sort of cynical generation because a lot of things. A, Vietnam, B, Nixon. We grew up knowing you couldn't trust adults, and
You think your generation was the first cynical generation?
Certainly not the first, but famously that. Like we did,
That's
we
your
were the ones who kind of went. Yes,
cynicism.
and cynical, and we became slackers because it doesn't matter. Mick jobs, we all were sort of too educated, and there was recession, and so we couldn't get jobs. There's the AIDS. I mean, John Roderick himself talks a lot about that. The sexual revolution was right before us. There was all of this hope and joy and free love and the pill and bodies and everything. And then we showed up to the party carrying our champagne, and it was like, AIDS, shut that door. We are, I think, not the first cynical generation, for fuck's sake, but I mean, known, that was kind of our distinguishing characteristic. Also, we're a small generation, so we have this like, don't you forget about me complex, right? Like, but anyway, yes, we really felt, and we felt like also the threat of nuclear war hung over our heads constantly. We grew up in the years of the day after being broadcast on TV. We just knew, like, we actively worried that the world was coming to an end due to nuclear war and the Russians. Do you see what I mean? So that kind of cynicism.
Sure. Yeah, and you're talking about this in the same way that I imagine this other person's generation will talk about school shootings, right?
Exactly right. And so that when we're sitting there sort of objectively, sort of tit for tat going through our generations and what the defining features are, including the internet, etc., it's that this little baby like only knows the craziest world. And it does seem like it's leveled up since even, those do seem, as always, I understand I'm talking like a freaking old person. Those seem like innocent times. But I mean, it seems like innocent times back when we worried about a whole lot of things before 2016 in my mind. But I don't want to go there. Anyway, it was just interesting from this person who is a comic. So let's also talk about that. She's naturally going to be a cynical person who finds the dark edge of it and ultimately is choosing the light and the joy because she's going to make jokes about it someday when the world opens up again to make jokes. But that was just an interesting thing, her saying that to me. And that brought me to something I wanted to talk about last week. And I kept saying, there was something. One thing I think is really funny. How much have you been aware of this? The things that the grown-up world has done to mitigate the pain of the class of 2020 not having to have their traditional ceremonies. Have you seen this a lot?
I've seen some of it on one of my podcasts. The guy is a father of a young son who would be graduating preschool, and he seemed to be extremely bummed out that they couldn't have their graduation. So what they did was they substituted. All the teachers went to the school and stood outside, and the parents drove by in a parade, and that really seemed to bum him out. But I've
of parades.
I've also seen
the dad out or the kid out.
It bums the dad out. I'm sure the kid doesn't know any different because they've never graduated preschool before. They don't have any particular expectations, I wouldn't think.
Bum the dad out because of missing the moment.
Right. And
all right. Graduating preschool, I could jump off a bridge over that. You got to dial that shit back right now, Daddy. I'm just going to tell you. Well, go ahead. That's not the point at all.
It's not the
I know.
Not the experience he envisioned for his son. He expected it to be the same as every other.
It's about expectations versus the abject sadness of how we can't gather as a humanity right now.
Right. Yeah. I've also noticed things on YouTube. There have been a lot of celebrities giving unsolicited commencement speeches.
That is what I want to talk about.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, okay. Also, the thing is, like on Facebook for a while before even that happened, there was a big push of people my age, mostly. It was across some decades there. People posting our high school graduation pictures, like, "Hey, class of 2020, in solidarity." And it's meant to be funny. Like, look at me when I was 18. I literally heard from not just cynical comics, other like nieces and nephews going, "Hey, thanks, boomers. Go ahead and rub it in that you had your graduation."
Whatever.
And okay, but that's funny. It's funny. I mean, I get whatever is right, but there was something funny because I first saw it. I didn't participate because I was like, I don't know where a picture of I don't know. I got to go dig through some things, and I'm not playing that game. But people were doing it. It is funny, right? And adults love to do that on the social medias, is to go and show pictures of when we were whatever, young and stupid and whatever. So they're posting pictures. I just thought it was funny that, yes, of course, whatever. I thought it was at the very beginning of the pandemic, when I was hearing, these kids are devastated because they don't get to have their proms and graduation. I, like Debbie Downer, and really like, I don't know, a prophet of doom, was sitting there in the corner going, it doesn't matter. There's no world to return to. It's the least of our problems. I was that person. Then I came around to going, oh, it totally is a bummer that you don't get to do things the way you expected. So I have one young friend who is the third child in her family to graduate high school, and she actually made an art piece showing the picture of her brother and sister who graduated before her in their caps and gowns, like that mom has on the wall. And she's going, I always expected that I would have mine here. And then she actually did a picture of herself, like sitting with her chin in her hands looking at a Zoom meeting of her graduation. It was really clever. It was really cute. And she's like, Mom, hang this on the wall. Okay, so I got it. Like, oh, these things. Same with if you don't get to have your wedding the way you exactly imagined it. It is exquisitely a bummer. And people are doing, as we've talked about, parades and drive-bys. And I love the creative approaches. I've seen teachers do all kinds of lovely creative things to help their kids get through and stay connected, right? There's been a lot of that. But then I started to hear ads for podcasts and YouTube channels. I mean, hey nui, tons of them. This is the 2020 commencement speeches, right? Unsolicited commencement speeches. I have been asking the 18-year-olds, how do you feel about that? And they go, what the hell are you talking about? We're not listening to any of that crap. And I'm like, do you know who Katie Couric is? No. I'm like, well, she has a lot of things to say to you people that will be encouraging. And Katie Couric perhaps is someone that a young woman should look up to because she really was a trailblazer as an American journalist, but also she's just straight up silly. And I can't imagine an 18-year-old caring what she... Now, there are the other channels that are like, no, this one is hosted by DJ Khaled, so it's a cool one. It's a cool iHeartRadio version of 2020 commencement speeches. I swear to God, the teenagers I know are like rolling their eyes as far back into their heads as they can and going, like, save your breath, adults. You can keep your speeches. It's not... Well, that's not why they cherish their graduation ceremony, by the way. Perhaps right. Is what I'm coming to realize. It's not the wise words of the adult there. Isn't that funny? I think this is the funniest construct in the whole wide world right now, is that the adults are putting out all this content for the kids who are going, okay, boomer. No, thank you. I think it's funny. The adults are doing it for ourselves.
Of course.
We are telling ourselves it's going to be okay. We always are. It's always about. Everything's a vanity project, God damn it.
It really is. At my college graduation, we had Madeleine Albright, who is an amazing woman and delivered a great speech. But I cannot for the life of me tell you what she said or why it was important, because I had a pounding hangover, as did all of my peers, right? It's never been about the speech. That's what you give. I mean, if the grandparents are going to fly in from out of town, they might as well hear something interesting from someone interesting. That's for the grandparents. It's for the parents. It's for the people who haven't spent the last 24 hours drinking until they puke,
All right. I mean, for sure. And what do you feel about this? What do you feel about possibly it is for the grandparents and the parents, because I'm going to wrap this together now, Andrew. It is for us because actually we're watching this moment in time that may or may not be emotional for us, or it's certainly a passage of time in our child's life or our loved one's life. The next one will be a wedding. And we don't know what the hell to say. And we can't promise you everything's going to be okay, because it never really is. So we hire Madeleine Albright or like Maria Bamford or Jerry Seinfeld to make us feel all right. Right? And it's maybe just as much for the parents and grandparents to remember that everything's going to be okay.
Well, I think maybe that's true. I also
because we don't know what speeches to give our kids, so we hire commencement speakers to help with it.
No, I also think there's a component where a parent can pat themselves on the back because their baby did it. They made it through high school, college, whatever. and the parent was there the whole way, and now they're hearing some third party who's very famous or prestigious or whatever say that the future is bright for this person. We've all done a great job here building them up to be a adult, and everything's going to be great from here on out. It's cathartic for everyone who's been involved in that process, you know?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's cathartic, and yeah, well, that's how I began. That's kind of why we have parties. The party is not the actual event. Usually it is a celebration it is a symbol. The party is a symbol of something. I mean, a party like that, like a graduation party or a wedding party or an anniversary party, even a birthday party. It's a symbol of the life spent to get to this occasion, right?
Sure.
And the party doesn't really matter, but we have those parties and we have those gatherings because we are social beings, and there's something about them that we do need.
Not to mention, if you're a parent who's writing checks for a college education,
oh my God.
If you're going to spend a $250,000 on University of Denver tuition, you sure as hell better get a celebrity to come and give your kid a pep talk the day of their graduation.
1,100,000,000%. Exactly right, damn. That is the price of admission.
$1,100 million.
Yes, sir. Exactly. You and I, this is funny conversation because you and I have both been speakers at our graduations.
That's true.
Humble brag. What's humble about it? Nothing. Did you know that Harris Whittles invented the term humble brag?
I don't even know who Harris Whittles
feels
is.
Apocryphal. Yeah, you do. Well, back to Parks and Rec. He's one of the animal control guys. Did I ever bring that up on this show, that if you watch the first 90 seconds of did I talk about that, of the animal control episode, Parks and Rec, like season 5?
Yeah, we talked about it. I went and I looked it up.
He's one of those guys. You did?
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys. Somebody said that he died young, and it was sad. He was such a good writer. He wrote a lot of those. He was like, it doesn't matter. But I want to know, I heard that he came up with Humblebrag. That cannot be true.
He's got a book called Humblebrag.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably what they're talking about. These idiots. Why would I listen to comics? Okay, well, that's all I wanted to say, that I find it very funny that, I have had it a lot in my media stream, is these podcasts or channels or whatever of these, unsolicited, as you say, graduation speeches for the kids who are going, what now? Again, we're not at the graduation for the speeches. The speeches are for you parents and grandparents. We are there for the selfies, and we're trying to get through the hangover. And we're there. Why else are they that? Why does it matter? That's actually interesting if I unpack it. Why does it matter to most 18-year-olds that they put on a cap and gown and gather together in a place and sit through a pretty boring ceremony when, 18-year-olds or 22-year-olds, when they are likely hungover or they want to party. The party is the party at the golly, at your high school, the whole graduation party thing was a racket. That was like big party machine.
Well, I think that in the moment, most 18-year-olds, most 22-year-olds don't appreciate their graduation. And I think if you ask them point blank, I think several would say that they'd rather be somewhere else. I know a lot of people in college who skip the graduation.
Yeah.
But I think, as humans, we have a need to bookend things, right? You start with something, and then you finish, and you have a graduation, and then it's over. I think there's an important component to that. There's also a lot of symbolism, right? I mean, you and I are both Catholic.
I think we love
some symbolism.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And ceremony and pomp and circumstance, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what's funny, is that it matters to even cynical kids who I think would have told you a year ago, I don't care about my graduation. But then you take it away from them, and suddenly they care about the cap and the gown and the pomp and circumstance. Yeah. Ritual.
Yeah, there's a lot of ritual. And I think my feelings, in Catholicism, the sacraments are the same way, right? You've got to have this baptism. It's not super important that your baby gets dunked in water so much as it is the symbolic. We're bringing this child into the church. We're taking on the duty of raising this human as a community. There's all that stuff wrapped up in it. And the graduation is the same way. It's purely symbolic. It's, you came in on the right side of the stage and you leave on the left side of the stage, or vice versa. It's just symbolism. And I think the important thing to remember in graduation, in marriage, is kind of how you started your cold open, which is that at the end of the day, it is just symbolic. And what's really important is the bigger picture here, right? It's this person's love for this person. It's their commitment to each other. It's the fact that you came in uneducated, and we think that we've done a good job of smartening you up so that you can be productive and you can be a valuable contributor in our society, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, of course. And you know what? Now that we're talking about it like this is surprising to me. I'm sort of feeling a fondness and for the people who are like, I've kind of made fun of it, like, oh, for fuck's sake, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's never about the cap and gown. It's never about the wedding anyway. I, of all people, who care about symbolism and storytelling and ritual, right? You're right. It's actually it's becoming quite sweet to me that even some cynical high school kids or college kids who would think it didn't matter, boy, they sure do put on their cap and gown, which has still come in the mail, and go stand in front of the school and or they do the little, I'm moving my tassel because I graduated. Some of these same kids who would tell you and mean it in their souls, high school graduation is not even a thing. I mean, I'm not even actually proud of that accomplishment. As I used to say to my kids when we were planning these parties and stuff, it'd be like, it's the least you can do, you know, in this day and age, is graduate freaking high school. Kids who know that, kids who are off to engineering school, and like, this is just a stepping stone and a little one, and they know it, and they can't wait to get to college and, you know, leave their high school identity behind them. Oh, but it does matter. It's where you've been formed. Ah, shoot, that's funny. It's making me emotional. You're right. My cold open was also about where we get into you're right. I always think that I'm pretty sure that my grandfather, the grandchildren of his that were not baptized, he just went ahead and put them under the sink and said a little prayer and counted it for that, you know? Because it doesn't matter the actual pool of water in the back of the church and the family gathered and the little perfect white dress. But then the funny thing is how much we get into the little perfect white dress and stuff. And it crosses over into a line where it becomes about the party and about the little white dress and about the pictures, and the baptism doesn't matter, or the marriage is less important than the party day of the wedding, which is where I started. But at its core, those, of course, are lovely traditions and ceremonies, and they are what make they are what make us as human beings know we are marking something on the journey in a super, like, ancient way. A lot of times, a lot of that shit is ancient ritual, right?
It is ancient ritual, and it's I think something interesting. I don't know what point I'm driving at here when I say this, but something interesting about all of this stuff is it is very community based, right? I mean, it's the community celebrating your emergence as a educated person versus, you know, you can go home and you can crack a bottle of champagne and you can have your own miniature celebration, but it's not the same because it's you celebrating versus everyone else celebrating you. It's
the public thing. Yeah, that's right. And that's why we come together for a marriage in front of God and everybody, as they say. And that is the point, of course, ultimately of a wedding, is you have the community there to say, you're saying, we do this in front of public because it matters to the public and we are joining society. And you have the people behind you saying, we got your back, man. Yeah. We got you. Yep. Same reason you have. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Isn't that? It's so funny. I just feel like everybody's so cynical, including me, that I can't believe when it comes right down to it. Even the cynical, bitchy people go, but I want to be seen and heard and loved by other people. And I long to be part of a community. I mean, obviously, that's not unique. I don't know. God, I've been in such a crazy place lately, Andrew, that it's hard to remember anything. By the way, Humblebrag, it says right here that I believe Harris Whittles did invent the phrase. And also, I have a very nice Venn diagram about it, which is complaining and bragging in the two circles. And then in between, you know, where the common thing, the shaded area is the Humblebrag. But then in this funny little graphic, it then has a separate circle all to itself, not touching anything, that says being humble. This is an article in Vox, which I used to like Vox News a lot. I can't tell what's going on with them right now. But their point is that the Humblebrag, this is a whole article on how the Humblebrag is a terrible moniker because there's no humility about it. It's like a very funny exercise here. And she is saying, I realize Humblebrag is easier to say than Cumplag, which is complain plus brag or brag plaint. But I urge you to test these phrases on your friends and family this weekend and email the results to this person.
That's funny.
He's trying to get Humblebrag out of the lexicon. This is also back to, 2015. Let's see. It feels about right. I'm right on it. Right on the bubble. I don't think I can look at the news today.
No, it's pretty pretty depressing.
Yeah, I don't think I can do it.
I don't know. I watched this morning. I watched a video of people looting the Target.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's when I don't know, the idea of societal collapse. I suppose we've been closer than we've been in a long time with the quarantine. And then one event like that, one do the right thing style event just sets everyone over the edge. It's a little too close for comfort, a little too unnerving, uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So I'm like you, I'm trying to avoid as much of that as I can.
I really, because you are right that things have been worse before. And I mean, obviously things like this take me right back to Rodney King. I know. We've seen it. I mean, the looting and oh golly, Hurricane Katrina, the looting, the societal breakdown, and it makes you lose faith in humanity. After this long thing we've just been talking about, we're like, I have so much faith in humanity and we all need each other. Okay. I think, I don't know. I don't, as always, it is something to ponder and not make sense of, but it is, yeah. This is how it's been now for, what are we on? Week whatever of, I don't have a hot take and I don't want to talk about it. And this is going to be one where I guarantee my neighbor's going to want to talk to me over the fence about what's going on. She's going to have a hot take I guarantee I don't like very much. And yeah, I think it's just time to talk about other things right now for today, meaning my bitchin' garden. Let's go back to your cold open. What happened with squirrels?
What happened with squirrels? Okay, I sent you a video this morning.
You did?
But I think you must have been in the shower warming up your voice.
Where do you send things?
I put it in Slack.
God damn it. Why did you put show notes in Slack instead of show notes one time recently?
Because, I don't know, Slack, I suppose, to me, signals this is for you, but not necessarily, there's no time, there's no urgency to it,
Okay, good to know. Good, okay, now I'm learning. Okay, all right, that's helpful.
Peruse at your leisure.
Okay. Versus the show notes document?
Versus the show notes, I just didn't think to put them in there. I don't know.
Oh, my God. Okay. It's just baffling to me. It's baffling to me, and my comic friends were asking me yesterday because I was like, we have to shut this shit down. We were up late, and they had to help me with the garden and stuff. Oh, and clay class. We had a clay class. And then everybody was up late, and I kept going, you got to leave. I'm doing a thing in the morning, and they were asking me about my prep for this podcast. And then I tried to talk to them about, it's just baffling to me. Your refusal, really, to play along with any consistent system.
My refusal?
Show prep. Yeah. Okay, so what did you send me now about squirrels? Yes, you did it. I
see. I was confused. I thought it was your fault.
My hell no. It's always you. Okay, Mrs. Phil. No, wait. This is I go to the Andrew channel.
So you can't watch this video while we're live because it's 20 minutes. But here's the gist. But it was.
Yeah, got it.
The guy who published it, I think I've mentioned him on this show before. His name is Mars Rover, and he's formerly a NASA employee. He put shit on Mars, and he takes his engineering abilities and he applies them to interesting and unique problems. So during his quarantine, or as Merlin Mann likes to call it, his corn, he bought a bird feeder and he was going to take up bird watching, but.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm watching it right now as you talk. And also this guy's cinematography skills are amaze balls.
Day after day, he would wake up to find that the squirrels had either eaten all the bird seed or broken the bird feeder or whatever. So he comes up with his own solution to figure out how he can foil these squirrels. And it winds up being an obstacle course of sorts. And it is such a good video. It's the best 22 minutes you'll spend this week, I promise.
I love this guy. How old is he? He's a young man.
I think he's probably a couple years older than me. He might be maybe 30 on the high end.
He's adorable in every way. I love this so much, and I'm not even hearing the audio. Oh my God. And it begins with some hilarious squirrel footage. And then I think there's a little thing saying what did he say? After 9 years of making this video? Oh, wait, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Well done.
You will love this video.
I love it
I watched
already.
it with Delaney, and then I sent it to my family group chat. And I have yet to hear a bad thing about it. And I don't know. I got to go back and watch it again because it makes me happy.
I love it so much. Okay, I have one squirrel on the premises lately. I saw him sneaking around here, and I went, all right, now we're not going to start this jam. I think we're fine because, as we've talked about, I've got Annie Oakley here in my hood, shooting them down and double bagging them. So the squirrels seem fine. I have the entire garden planted now.
Before we leave squirrels, can I give you
please.
one piece of information that I learned when I was researching my cold open?
I insist upon it.
Okay, so squirrels, they're from the family, genus, species, the classification of animals. Their family is called Sciurus, Sciurus.
All right.
Which is from Greek, meaning shadow and tail, as in one who sits in the shadow of its own tail. How cool of a name is that?
Interesting. One who sits in the shadow. All right. Well, that's interesting because when I was making a paper effigy to burn for our little squirrel go away ceremony that Rafiki and I had early in Quar,
in your corn?
I knew for sure, I knew for sure that the defining feature was going to be the tail. Like you can almost stick a hot dog or something similar, and then if you make the tail in the right proportion and bushy enough, it will read squirrel. Yeah. Also, when I moved to the mainland from Hawaii as a little girl, I thought squirrels were the cutest damn thing I've ever seen. And actually, this video that you sent, he has some footage that makes you go, they're really adorable. I mean, I want to like them. They're funny, and they really have personalities, and they have their little weird hands. They're clever. I kind of want to like them, but they're such assholes.
Wait till you watch the video. You'll come away with a totally different perception of squirrels.
Will I like them more? I feel like I'm going to like them more.
They certainly have personalities, and they also, I didn't realize they live to be 20 years old.
Do they really?
Yes.
They also like our family unit for sure. Like when we had ours taken away by the tree guy, I was really worried because there was this one little squirrel who didn't get to go and his rest of his family, that kind of thing. No, I think, I mean, really, as a little girl, I thought squirrels were so cute because those fluffy tails were just the cutest thing I'd ever seen. And they don't have them on Hawaii. In fact, my sister once asked my mom, what's that funny? Or look at the funny looking mongoose when we were visiting. So I thought they were so cute. And I still kind of do. Yeah, but I mean, they're just assholes and they're ruining our lives around here. I mean, they were getting... See, I live in the neighborhood that I live in. These are thug squirrels, right? That's the thing. They do have cool personalities and stuff, but it's like the zombies. It's like, I get it. And hey, you can live your life, but you can't do it here on my property. That's how I feel about it. Some of the neighbors shoot them dead.
NIMBY, you're not, no squirrels in my backyard, please.
Hell yeah, I'm a complete NIMBY right here, aren't I? I mean, there is the saddest thing. I mean, it's like not even, we've talked about this the whole time, our anti-homelessness podcast, like we're really offensive. One of the characters in my neighborhood often sits out in front of the 7-Eleven, and I mean, I kind of know this person, this character, I mean, with no like name or whatever. Anyway, and now that person sits just outside my perimeter, and it's unnerving, but it's like, oh, at least you're not on my property. It's literally like that. Oh, you're in the alley. That's public property. My little inset now has the lights, camera, action, all of it, and it works. I mean, I don't find condoms right in that space anymore. It's so NIMBY. It's like, well, yeah, sorry, just stay off of my property. I don't know. That's a weird little thing that I live. It's very typical of how we are, but it's a funny thing. Like, this is my compound. That's funny. It doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't feel entirely, that feels kind of selfish and horrible. But the truth is, as we've talked about, I really do have this real neighborhood feel. My neighbors across the street who have the little baby Mikey brought me 5 different kinds of pepper plants, and they're real growers. So they have been
like,
I know. And they've been using those, like growing them, nurturing them in their basement with lights and everything to grow them. And now they're in my garden. Lots of different kinds of peppers.
We've been doing a lot more cooking recently.
Sure.
A lot of sweet potatoes.
Oh,
You,
I've got a sweet potato in my refrigerator. Tell me about it.
you'd think that eating vegetarian means meat substitutes, but that's the worst way to eat vegetarian.
Agreed. It does not mean that.
The correct way is to eat basically tons and tons of side dishes, which is what vegetarians thrive at.
Okay. Side dishes.
There's a hot take. You can if you disagree, feel free to tweet Mrs. Filholm.
Right. Rules of the podcast. Being vegetarian means eating tons and tons of side dishes. That's not even true, but I know what you mean. It's what you would have think of side dishes. We're just eating sweet potatoes. That's so funny. That's so funny.
But it seems like
God.
I spend the entire cooking process. Prep takes forever. We know this, but it's always chopping peppers. Peppers seem to require the most effort in this whole ordeal. You make yourself a sweet potato taco with some bell peppers, maybe a jalapeno in there. You're just chopping peppers.
Really?
Yes.
Chopping peppers, you say?
I think as far as
chopping peppers,
the juice being worth the squeeze or not, peppers are right on the edge. It seems like there's more effort required to chop the peppers than you get value from the peppers.
What kind of peppers? Like bell peppers?
Bell peppers, Anaheim peppers,
jalapenos,
pasilla peppers.
I do not feel that way about peppers. I would say that about a heck of a lot of things. Like what vegetable or fruit? I mean, there's a lot of fruits that I'm like not worth it.
Do you like chopping onions?
Yeah,
I do like chopping onions. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah,
I like dicing an onion.
Yeah, I do too. But not a pepper.
Not a pepper.
Oh, weird. Huh.
I
get what you mean. Peppers are very funny to chop, and there's a lot going on there, and it's de-seeding and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you, but I've never thought they weren't worth it. You must be eating a lot more peppers. I guarantee you're eating more peppers than I am. Oh, that was the other thing. You had spam musubi this week.
I sure did. And I sent you. I think I sent those in Slack. I don't remember if I sent them in Slack or messages, but I'm sure I'll hear about it anyway. I did not realize I was looking all over for this place, looking all over for it, and it turns out that the fancy L&L Hawaiian barbecue is actually inside the Walmart.
Okay. All right. That makes. I had heard that. Wait. So you didn't know where it was? Like you're driving around in a parking lot?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
difficult.
It's so there's a Walmart right there. There's a Home Depot. Also in the same shopping center, and then there's a bunch of little out restaurants with their own drive-thrus and that sort of thing. And I kind of expected it to be its own building with a drive-thru. And that wasn't the case. But eventually we got in there. There were probably 15 people waiting for food, which is a good sign. You like to see.
See what I mean?
You like to see
Isn't
a busy
that weird?
restaurant.
I know.
And I had already eaten, but I mean, we went there for the trip. So I got myself 2 Musubis, and they were excellent.
Mm-hmm. They have too much seaweed for the real Hawaii style. That's okay.
I did notice that the amount of seaweed on mine versus the amount of seaweed in our show art last week.
Correct.
I actually got even more seaweed than that.
Oh, yeah. The one in our show art last week was like, to me, what it looked like. I mean, I pulled that off the intrawebs.
Oh, I see.
And that's what spam musubi looks like. Though they wrap it with the whole strip of nori. Not preferred. In my mind, really. It's not quite authentico. But I don't care. It's still freaking good. I think I'm going to try to make it.
I think you should. So
because I have the mold, right?
You've got your nori. You've got a piece of fried spam. You've got your rice. I imagine the rice is probably the hardest part to get that sticky consistency.
It's sushi rice. You just do it in your rice maker with a little white wine vinegar. You go get sushi rice. It's not that hard, I don't think. I mean, yes, probably the hardest thing, but not, a rice cooker. You got to have a rice cooker for that. And then there's a sauce.
Yeah. What's that sauce? Is that like a teriyaki or is it something different?
Here, according to a recipe that I'm looking at, I should put this in. Thanks for starting the show notes right now, live in person. That's awesome. It looks like exactly a kind of teriyaki sauce because it says that you make it with 4th cup oyster sauce, 4th cup soy sauce, a 1/2 cup sugar. So it's a sweet soy sauce with a little bit of umami from the oyster sauce. So yeah, it's a teriyaki sauce. Is what that is.
That is
I'm guessing that you are gonna boil that down. I don't know. I'm gonna maybe I'll make it. But I'm glad that you got to have it because really, I don't care what you say. That is gas station food I would lick it off the floor. That's yummy, right? Do you like it cold or warm?
I both mine warm. I
Yeah,
planned on taking them with me, and then by the time we got to the parking lot, I had eaten one, and then it was not long before the other was gone too. They smell so good.
Smells so good. And it's that's it. It's one of those things you just like you eat it over the kitchen sink because it's so delicious. All right, well, that's all that was. That's all I had on that, but it is good. Went paddleboarding again.
Where'd you go? Did you go to that Quincy Reservoir that you
No,
told
I went
us
to
about?
Chatfield.
You went to
I went to Chatfield because I don't know Chatfield.
That's a drive for you.
I know. And here's the thing. I was going to go pick up a friend, and she was like, if I go pick her up, I'm already halfway there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a drive. I'm breaking the rules of Quor, going 10 miles further than my home. Corn. But I like to say it like the gayest boys. And so Quar is their favorite because that's fun. But Corn, Merlin, that's great. I went to Chatfield, which is huge, and I really don't know how to do Chatfield Reservoir. Like, I don't ever know where I am or what's going on. We had a wonderful time. It got so windy, and it's a big reservoir for this part of the world, and there are real motorboats on it. And I was in the roughest waters I've ever been on my paddleboard.
Was it rough because of wind, or was there just so much traffic that people were chopping it up? What was going on?
Actually crazy winds, like actually crazy, all I had to do was go. There's literally nothing to worry about here. The worst case scenario is that you can't get back to that shore where your car is. You're going to blow over to that shore, and you have your telephone on you, and you're going to call someone, and they're going to come and get you. And it's going to be a different kind of day, but they're going to drive you right back around to your car. I mean, really, it was just or you're going to hail a boat, and they're going to take you in. It was kind of a good and also I was with my young 18-year-old girlfriend who I was then sort of feeling protective of her. And I look back at one point, I got to wait for her, and I was worried, how strong. And then I said, "This is bananas." And she goes, "Yeah, but it's fun, though." And I went, "Okay, we're cool. Let's just hang out then." And then no worry. So it was really fun. I mean, the paddle boards it was mostly wind, and there were choppy waves because of boats going by. But I mean, it was I could feel the chattering of my board on these waves. It was the waviest and windiest it was the roughest waters I've ever been in, actually, on the paddle boards. And it really kind of was fun.
Was it warm enough, or were you also freezing?
It wasn't freezing, but it was not super pleasant at that point. It was cloudy. And yeah, you're going, I come here for the rays. I come here for the tan. I was, in fact, wearing a swimsuit, without a skirt. Let's get the thigh tan. And there was dang it, cloudy, windy weather. Yeah, I was getting a little chilly, not cold. Just oh, this isn't super comfortable. And, like I said, a little scary because my mother instinct kicked in and went, "Oh God, there's a young person behind me. I need to make sure she's okay." And of course she was like, "This is kind of fun." I went, "I love you so much. This is great. Good paddleboarding partner." Anyway, it was fun. And so we were out in the water for about 2 hours. Chatfield is great. I know that there's secret, gravel pond. I know it's not secret. There are gravel ponds there where you're supposed to. I'm just not a Chatfield girl. It's not my part of the woods. And I need people to instruct me. And it's somehow hard to. I remember looking it up once before and trying to find these gravel ponds. It's kind of weirdly hard to figure it out. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure my dad would go to the local mountaineering store and talk to somebody or get a guidebook and get all the information. Whatever. There's not really ever a bad day paddleboarding as far as I'm concerned. Hey, there's a person detected in my alley. Who do you think it is?
I don't know. Yell at them. Yell at them on the air, please.
Okay. I'm looking right now. Okay. Oh. There's my live. What? Where's my garbage can?
Uh-oh.
Oh, I brought it in the fence. No, that's okay. Okay, so events. I have to look back. Maybe this is person detected. It was just someone walking by, I guess.
I've got a garbage can not caper. What do you call it? A mystery? A garbage can mystery?
Lay it on me, string bean.
So before the house was rented, the garbage and the recycling were locked in the backyard. And then I was there one day. I came back the next day only to discover that someone had been in my backyard and been in the recycling. Can you imagine breaking in to go through someone's recycling?
Wow. Breaking in? You think it was locked and they broke something?
Well, they would have had to. So the back gate's kind of janky, and it's in disrepair, and you need to reach up and over the top and rotate a like a clasp kind of thing, and then that lets the latch swing free, and then you can open the gate after that. It's not a particularly easy thing to get into. It's not even easy to get out of if you're going the other direction, just because it's old and the door is.
Is it? I am very fascinated by this. By the way, I just want to walk it through. Is it possible that the new tenants left it a little bit open because it's hard and they want to come in and out, and they're just like, we're just going to leave this an inch open?
This is before we were even talking about new tenants. This was like I don't know, 2 weeks before getting ready. I was still doing showings. So I guess there's one possibility, which is that it's like a raccoon or something. But that even that would be a maneuver, because they're those big. I mean, you've got the same trash can I do, the big Denver garbage trash can kind of thing. I don't know. I'm still
now. Okay, and what was your evidence of it being gone through?
I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was something, or a couple things that I had put in were on the floor around it.
The floor,
the ground. Yeah,
it's called the ground. That's an Andy Dwyer thing. I was just watching the episode of Parks and Rec where, no, not Andy Dwyer. Ben Wyatt's character. The Ben Wyatt character said they're going camping, and he goes, yeah, I'm just going to sleep on the floor. And they're like, it's called the ground when you're out of doors. On the floor. Right. So there were some things scattered. Did you, I mean, like, for sure my garbage gets gone through and they take out aluminum cans. And I'm kind of disappointed in that it's not, like, sometimes I'll put out my aluminum cans in a box and they don't get taken for a really long time. So it's not every zombie in my alley who is looking for cans. It is the intrepid, industrious, homeless people who are actually making a living. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference, I've learned. So I put them out for them. I mean, I wonder if it's that. Did it have the feel of somebody going through it for either food or aluminum cans?
I don't know what they're looking for. I didn't notice anything.
I know you don't know. I'm just really, I want to break this down. I'm kind of on the case, but it doesn't matter.
Well, I don't know what to do about it, right? I mean, so I had a suspicion that it was the neighbor, because he's got a backyard full of junk, and it just seems like
right, the tire guy?
Yeah, and I never mentioned, harkening back to the tire conversation 2 episodes ago, the reason I brought him up at all was because you mentioned that once wagon wheels start appearing in front yards, that's when you know it's things have gone south. And he has a big wagon wheel in his front yard. That's why.
Oh, he does.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's funny, because I remember even saying, wait, does he use the tires as planters? Okay, he does have the wagon wheel. Okay, so go ahead. You thought maybe it was him because he's a garbage guy.
That's correct. He's a garbage guy. He's a garbage.
He seems rubbishy. Man. He's rubbish.
That man is trash.
He's trash.
No. It just seemed, and he's kind of got a history of, what's mine is his sort of thing. He'll park his car on my property in the alley. He's just a little more
a little familiar. He takes some liberties.
Familiar is exactly the right word. So I thought, well, maybe he just comes in the backyard or something. I don't know.
Sure. Oh, I have some stories about that in my backyard. Go ahead.
But anyways, moral of the story is I noticed something was gone. It didn't seem like there was anything worth stealing. Certainly not worth it to try to get that gate undone or to jump the fence or... It just seemed like, the juice being worth the squeeze. There's a lot more squeeze than there was juice.
Yeah. And still unknown. That's weird.
Unknown. Yeah, it's a mystery.
Wait, did you ask the neighbor about it?
Forever unsolved. Nope.
You gonna?
Of course not. I can't. I don't have any evidence to suggest, hey, have you been jumping the fence and coming into my backyard going through?
No. I just wondered where that was going, because you said at first I thought it was the neighbor, and then I thought that you had, put that theory to rest, and now you're on to a new one. I mean, but it still could be the neighbor.
All theories are still in play.
All right. Well,
I don't know.
May I recommend a camera so you can watch that ish like I do?
Nope, I don't want to know.
Nope, don't want to know. That may very well be true. One new addition that I've made to the studio, which you have not seen now for so long. Well, one addition is that a lot of the acoustic tiling from the ceiling is falling off, and I don't know what that's about at all. I think I've done some things here I think I pushed some things too hard. But I also hung a backdrop. So now if I do a Zoom show or a meeting from here, because I had that red acoustic tiling, remember? And
you said it looked like being in the
menacing
devil's womb
womb
or something.
I didn't, but Jeff Stonick said it looked like a menacing womb. I don't like that look. And also it's not super flattering on the 51-year-old face. When I've even got my little YouTube makeup video light like the teen queens do. But
the teen queens.
I just made that up. Doesn't that seem good? Like the makeup YouTube video people, they're all queens.
I'm
they're
sure
always talking about being queens.
If we had significant listenership, I think you'd be hearing about that term.
But what about it?
I don't know. It just seems inappropriate.
It does?
I've never been a teen queen, so I can't be sure whether or not it's offensive.
But no, that's
it seems
not
like
offensive.
It might be offensive.
Queen. No, that's Lizzo. No, that's Girl, How You Doing? No, I mean it like they're queens with a K, and they do their makeup with
a K and a W? How do you spell queen with a K?
Yeah, like with a K and a W. Queen. Yas Queen. Come on, Andrew.
And that's with a K and a W. Yas Queen is with a K and a W.
Yeah, bitch, it is. And it has been since like 2012, 15, what? Come on. It's so old. Actually, that's so old. That's from Paris is Burning. Old documentary about, it doesn't matter. Watch Paris is Burning. Oh, it's about, I don't want to use the wrong word. I was going to say drag culture, but I'm not exactly sure that's true in New York City, but that's how I'm going to frame it. It's about drag culture and the balls that they would have and voguing and stuff for, oh my God, in the 80s, maybe tragic and also, but it's like, yes, queen is that's the vernacular. It's from the queer community. And no, I think that teen queens putting on their makeup, I should think that every young girl or boy who has done a makeup video would love to be called a teen queen for their YouTube content. I stand it. I'll go to my grave. Please, if people, we should promote this episode just to get that feedback. I'm kidding. So I do the flattering light is my point. I have my flattering light. And then still it looks really, really menacing. So now I have a nice black and white piece of cloth with a design on it that I mean, like I've carried it around. It's a tablecloth material for mama bear gigs. Mm-hmm. Now I have background. We'll see. Maybe it'll make a difference. Ugh.
Is the lighting, I mean, you said you've got your makeup light. Is the lighting coupled with the background, does it make you seem as if you're in a much larger space than you are in? No,
I don't know what it looks like with this new background. But no, in general, no, that's a funny thing too, is when I have done Zoom meetings, it does not at all feel like it. It doesn't feel like a larger space. It just that red glowing stuff behind me. I think it's kind of hard to make out what it is or where it is.
Sure, it looks like a menacing womb.
That looks like a menacing womb. I suppose I could just hang a green screen. But every green screen Zoom background, have you been seeing this that I've had? Just it's so goofy. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I have seen that, and it's no. I was on a conference call the other day, a Zoom call, and the last Zoom call I had was with my extended family. And we were all being goofy, and we changed our backgrounds. And my background was like a Wendy's from the outside. It's like I was sitting in front of the big Wendy's sign.
I want to hear everything about that, but carry on.
And I started this professional call with a new customer, and I was coming to them not live from the show floor, but live from the Wendy's parking lot. And I was like,
you just forgot
hold
the background.
on.
You forgot to do that adjustment.
Well, I didn't know that it carried over call to call, I guess.
Sure. Okay. That's amazing and hilarious. How did you get the Wendy's background?
You can you can just make any image on Google Images your background.
I know. So that was it. You did that.
Mm-hmm.
You grabbed it from Google Images.
Yep.
I didn't successfully once grab an image but I'm going to try it because I could easily just have like the Mama Bear logo or something. But anyway, oh my God, a Wendy's parking lot's really funny, Andrew. What were the other backgrounds that your family had?
I'm trying to remember. Because
I'm pretty sure Nikki and Steven are cool at coming up with funny backgrounds.
Steven was doing backgrounds. He, he had some watches. He had some, I don't know.
Well, like tropical locales, because that's the Parks and Rec, the reunion show during the pandemic. They, like, two characters are messing around with, like, I'm in Fiji, because they've got that background. But a Wendy's parking lot, that's freaking solid and funny. I
stole that from Twitter. There's a guy on Twitter who is often referenced in our podcast. His name's Matt Howie. He recommended that people use the Wendy's background. That's how you.
He did?
That's how you win a Zoom meeting. Is you present live from the Wendy's.
He did specifically that?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I missing something other than that it's absurd?
I think Wendy's. Yeah, I think Wendy's is enjoying a moment, or has been for a long time, for being a little bit absurd.
Really?
Have you heard the sorry sir, this is a Wendy's meme? Have you seen that one?
I have not.
So it's always like it's one of those dialogue tweet things, and some person's fired up, and then the response from the second person is, "I'm sorry sir, this is a Wendy's." It's kind of interesting when I am hip to a comedy trend that you're not.
Yeah. Okay, so is the joke of that, sorry sir, this is a Wendy's, is that code for we can't adjust to meet your needs, we don't customize orders? Is it that, or we don't give good customer service? What's the joke?
I think the joke is, why are you yelling at me about institutionalized racism?
Lovely.
I'm
funny.
just here trying to prep your fries and get them out the window, right?
I gotta look it up.
It's
I love it.
The opposite of preaching to the choir. It's preaching to someone who could not give fewer fucks.
Oh, funny. And it just, I've completely missed this. I love it. Now I'm looking at a Harajuku version of Wendy's. That's confusing to me. Holy shit, there's a lot of Wendy's things. What? Is Wendy's a cultural icon that I don't know about? And she's sexy now? What? I got onto a dumb thing here. It's how we started the episode. You got to send me that. Okay, so there's the Wendy's sign that you're probably using for your backdrop. I mean, something similar. Okay, that's funny. So funny. But the thing to me is that the closest thing to my house is a Wendy's. Oh, it's not the closest thing to my house. It's the closest place where I have ever gotten fast food. Okay, and one time in the quarantine, I said to Rafiki, you want a hamburger? I'm going to go to Wendy's and get us hamburgers. And I did. And it is, I go to Wendy's more than any other fast food place in my life because it's the closest.
Gosh,
and then,
you're such a culturista.
No, that's funny. I didn't know it. I go there and almost every time I get enraged about how it is the worst, just period, right there. We'll stop. And then I keep going back. It is the most urban Wendy's. One time only, I went indoors to pick up some things. Obviously, this was months ago in the before times. Cannot remember what would have inspired me to go in the doors to pick up my food. And I saw things. I mean, I saw categorically just like a group of guys over here that was one category of people in my neighborhood. The man at the counter ordering and like asking for individual packets of salt. No. I mean, the things I have seen and the employees themselves. And oh my God, the Wendy's is really one of the places that I've been the most, because I don't go out that much in quarantine at all. And Wendy's is one of the places that I would say I have eaten 4 to 5, probably 5 bacon, what's it called? Son of a Baconator Junior meals.
Son of a Baconator Junior?
Yes,
that's
it's
like
2 things. It's redundant.
Baconator the third?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Right. Let's just call him grandson. I swear to God, it's called the Son of Baconator. Did I say Junior? I don't remember. There's a Baconator meal. I have to order.
A thing. Maybe Son of Baconator is also a thing.
There's a Son of Baconator. It's a family. Oh God, I have a story. It doesn't matter. Baconator, Son of Baconator for sure is a thing. Maybe it's not a junior, and then I have to specify normal size or whatever you call it, small, regular, whatever. Don't gargantuan size me. But I will bet you I have had.
Size me. Title.
Don't you do it? Don't you gargantuan size me? Anyway, I've probably had 5 Wendy's hamburgers. And this is, I have had so little food until recently where I have friends dropping me off L&L Hawaiian barbecue. Oh, and also Brothers barbecue in the past week. I have Brothers barbecue. What? That's delicious.
Is Brothers the one that we went to after golfing that one time?
I don't think so, but they are a chain now. I mean, the one that I know is like on Leetsdale or by George Washington High School. That was the original. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if that's where we went. I don't think so. I don't know, Andrew. But
I wish I had more space in my life for some barbecue.
What do you mean? Like to make it?
No, to eat it.
How do you need to make space for that?
I'm eating side dishes all the time.
You're eating side dishes. You need to come over here because we had ribs and brisket. What?
That sounds so good.
I mean, and to tell you, okay, so that's my point, is that I have really not been eating food made by other people since quarantine, mostly because my all sources of income stopped. And like, I'm eating food that my mother sends me in my freezer because I'm a charity case now. And I go, thank you, Mom. I really stopped buying crap, right? Although I did buy some things in the past week, which is weird. It felt weird. Like I've had some deliveries from Amazon. You know what I got last night? 12 brand new extra fine Sharpies. Oh, I'm so happy. I didn't have one decent extra fine Sharpie in the joint that I could stand. And now I have 12 new ones. Oh my God.
That is nice.
Oh, and I went to business Costco. Ooh, that's actually good because Costco made me creeped out the one time I went. But business Costco, as you know, is always so very, very not crowded.
Mm-hmm.
So business Costco felt great. It was not a problem to remain distant from people. But I got I was also out of legal pads. You know, and that's like a kind of thing, because what I just bought is a Costco, probably 24 of them. That's going to last so long, to the point that legal pads are like the kind of material that I think, I can't remember. It feels weird to have to buy one. They're always just there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is a purchase you make once every 5 to 10 years.
I mean, it kind of feels like, and then it's that sort of, it's as we've talked about since I'm moving into the dollhouse, and so things are new. Like I didn't have a scrap wood pile. I kind of do now. But you know, that kind of thing, like no scrap wood and no rubber bands. I mean, this winter when I was doing the ice damming and I was looking for, you know, like Bob Vila's suggestion was fill socks with ice melt.
Mm-hmm.
In my former life as a mother, there were at least 24 unmatching socks lying around for rags, for whatever, at any given time, right? You move, you purge your whole life of living in a place for over 20 years. You don't have a back pile of socks.
You sure don't.
Gym socks from your boys. I mean, and that's the other thing, right? My kids do not live here, are welcome here at any time and can make themselves at home, but it's never ever been their home base, and it's not going to be their home base because their home base is their childhood home, which still exists. So like, I don't have, you know, a swimsuit for George. I mean, I need to like think about it. I always have food in my cupboard in case George comes over, but like stuff like that, like, and I have flip flops so we can go on Clay Beach, but like, I should honestly have an extra t-shirt and some pairs. George should have a kit here at my house just in case, or just so he feels at home or whatever, but he doesn't, because 6 miles away is his actual house. It's just weird. So that I don't have the backup of like, it's still weird to me to not have mommy stuff. Like, what was I talking about the other day? Like food, like a freezer full of hot dogs. Like if anybody comes over, I could have just in case.
And whip up a little barbecue.
Right. I mean, I do have that. I have food just in case for other people. I am known in the comedy community for my mad snacks. And I often have oh my God, right now I have enough White Girl sparkly water, like White Claw and such, to feed a sorority house. Because people who have been like, hey, we drank all your beer, we're going to replace it, have been bringing instead those things. White Claw.
That's funny.
White Clam. I know. So I have enough of those fruity malt liquor, I think is what they are, beverages, and I can't abide. I can't stand them. So I always have good snacks and drinks, but I just don't have the mommy archive of like, I don't know, party decorations. You know, it's just funny.
Sure.
As we know, at one point I did not have ketchup. I now have ketchup. I also now have sriracha sauce in my possession, in my refrigerator. Do you like that?
I love a sriracha. But Mrs. Filholm, you got to figure out how to put a button on this thing because we're at an hour and 15.
Gross. You have to cut out a whole lot.
And our audience's interest is waning.
Nobody's listening because they're not commuting. Okay, yeah, sorry. But it was nice talking to you. We brought some Wendy's-style ruckus. You got to explain this meme to me.
We sure did. We sure
Okay.
did. I'll talk to you later, Mrs. Filholm.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye, Andrew.